Hi, my name is Debnath, and today we are going to be looking at the poem of Hornbill, Father to Son, and the author and the poet is Elizabeth Jennings. So when you approach the poem, remember that you are approaching this poem in a manner that this is a nostalgia, a lament, a tone of sadness that has been created, and it is a poem of generation gap of today, how we have it with our parents, or how generations go by and there is a missing communication. It becomes a communication gap. There's a missing row where there is no attachment which is left from the child to a parent, which we all go through. हम सब उस दौर से जाते हैं जहाँ पे एक बहुत लंबा गैप पड़ जाता है, जहाँ अपने माँ बाप को हम शायद देखते भी नहीं हैं या फिर उनसे इतनी बात नहीं करते, और जिस वजह से इतना डिफरेंस होता है हम लोगों के कम्युनिकेशन में या सोच पे, जहाँ पे उनके साथ बैठ के 2 मिनट बात करने में भी हम लोग को डिसएग्रीमेंट्स हो जाते हैं या फिर हमारी झगड़ा हो जाता है. या दिस इज़ द स्टोरी ऑफ एवरी हाउस टुडे. सो अप्रोच दिस पोएम इन अ मैनर दैट दिस इज़ द पोएम बिटवीन अ फादर who is writing with his perspective and how he sees his son, and how he talks about the change in relationship that they have gone through from the moment the child is born to now when he has become an adult, and so forth and so forth. He laments the fact that how the gap has been widened day by day and there is no going back, or if at all there is a certain sort of attachment that father still carries, and he wants to mend that relationship which is going between whatever relationship which has been going wrong, or any sort of fact which is missing between them, any sort of communication. He wants to mend the relationship in a manner. So let's approach the poem stanza by stanza. I do not understand this child, though we have lived together now in the same house for years. I know nothing of him. So in these first 4 lines, we get a background idea. एक background हमें मिल जाता है जहाँ पे the father is saying कि हम लोग घर पे साथ में रहते हैं, but मैं नहीं जानता उसको. I don't know who is this person who is always staying with me. He knows this person as an identity of the person. उसको जानते हैं कि वो उसका नाम है, उसका बेटा है. But as personally, as a son, as what he is doing or what he is going through, there is no communication between them. So it is like 2 strangers living in the same house without any communication, without any source that where they would sit and talk. So it is a background he opens with, that this is the house. I don't know him, where he is going on. I don't know this person, this child. Let's look at the next few lines. So try to build up a relationship from now. He was when small, yet have I killed the seed I spent or sown it, where the land is his and none of mine. So in these 4 lines talks about how he is lamenting over the fact that, is this my child? Is this exactly my child whom I have brought up? Is my blood like the seed? Like, it's a very famous line where we talk about that, is this the same, what we sow we reap it. So the same fact, the father is going through that again, that this is the child is my own blood. Is this the same time, the same child that I have carries my blood and he's born and I don't know him? Is this the same seed that I have reaped years ago and now it has sown? It's very different from how it is. So where has he been lost? The space which is he's talking about is not his anymore. It is his son's, and they are strangers in the same house living together as family. So next, go to the next lines. We speak like strangers. There is no sign of understanding in the air. The child is built to my design, yet what he loves I cannot share. So he makes this very evident in this 3rd stanza, where he says that now they both have become strangers. They have grown so much apart. इतना दूर हो चुके हैं in terms of their communication, in terms of their understanding level. The generation gap has widened so much that now they feel that they are strangers. Like, जानते भी नहीं एक दूसरे को. वो लोग एक दूसरे को जानते नहीं हैं, वो क्या कर रहे हैं. There is no way they will sit together and have a communication with each other. So that source that somehow they will mend a relationship. he's talking in a manner that there is no way I can do it otherwise. And he talks to the fact, like in next lines he says that he is built in my likeness in a manner, in my design, that he has been like me, he's my son. So there's a very the famous line we keep on saying, हम बोलते रहते हैं कि मेरे जैसा ही है, फिर ये कोई थर्ड पर्सन रेफर कर रहा होता है आपको, तो बोलता है आप जैसे अपने पापा के जैसे हो या अपनी मम्मी के जैसे हो. So this fact when he says that I am my child is exactly my design, he's exactly like me, then where has this gap widened so much that there is no communication? कि इतना क्या differences आ गया हम पे, या फिर इतना क्या दूरियाँ जिसको हम बोलते हैं आ गई है कि हमारे बीच में कोई communication नहीं है, या फिर कोई सोर्स नहीं है जहाँ पे मैं उससे बात भी करूँ जाके, या फिर वो मेरे से आके बात कर रहा है. तो दो अननोन लोग एक साथ रह रहे हैं जिनके बीच में कोई बात नहीं होती, जो सिर्फ रह रहे हैं विद द फैक्ट दैट कि एक फैमिली है तो रहना है, अदरवाइज दिस नेवर नोज when the gap grows more apart and they outgrow all of those relationships, those emotions, and they grow so much that they leave the family and move out, which happens in all the daily life we see today. This is like universal fact, which will be questions in later in your NCERT text. It will be a question where it talks about the universal gap which is coming. So let's address the next 4 lines. Silence around us. I would have him prodigal, returning to his father's house, the home he knew, rather than see him make and move his world. I would forgive him, to shaping from sorrow a new love. So in these lines, he talks about his father, refers to the fact that he is my prodigal son. The prodigal is here and a part of speech. It is used as allusion here. Prodigal in terms it is used in a bibliographical reference where it is said that Abel and Cain, these both were the sons of Adam and Eve who were likeness of the God. So Adam and Eve वे दोनों सबसे पहले humans थे, इंसान थे हमारे the world that God created, and from them Abel and Cain came. They were sons of Adam and Eve. So they were exactly how their parents were, or how the gods had created them. But in the same manner, even the father mentioned that he was my prodigal son. I thought him to be like that, but to contrary to that, he has become something else today. He is completely different from what I used to think. And today he is filled with that sort of sorrow that he wants, rather he also believes that he can forget that. He can forget those sorrow, he can forgive him from growing so much apart, the entire relationship, and he is ready to mend it back. He is making an effort through the poem. You can see that वो एक effort लगा रहे हैं, एक कोशिश कर रहे हैं कि वो उस relationship में, मतलब जो एक बेटे और पिता का होता है, या फिर एक माँ और बेटी का होता है, एक family in a manner उन सब का होता है, तो there is a hope that they will forgive, that they will forget all that has happened, and they will forgive the person what all happened to that person, and they are ready to mend the relationship. They are ready to give it a chance. They are ready. They're trying every time to make it happen, to make this relationship work between a family, or to build up those ties in the family. So let's take the next 4 lines. Father and son, we both must live on the same globe and same land. He speaks. I cannot understand myself why anger grows from grief. So these 4 lines, when it addressed, we get the sense about how the son has grown apart, how the son today has, this poem also addresses to the fact that there is a sort of patriarchal ego clashes between the father and the son, where either of them, their opinions are clashed, there are differences amongst themselves, there is ego issues, and the other person is not ready to listen to the other person. The son won't be agreeing to the father, neither the father would agree to the son. So ये पूरा family ties कि आज difference opinion में है, आप जो सोच रहे हो ज़रूरी नहीं है वो सोच आपके parents की भी हो. तो अगर आप बैठ के अगर आपस में पेरेंट्स से बात कर रहे हो, वो पता चलता है कि उनका सोच डिफरेंट है हमारे से, और वहाँ पे चांसेस होता है कि देयर कैन बी अ क्लैश, देयर कैन बी एक बहस होने का, और उससे चीज़ें हाउ एक गांठ पड़ जाती है एक रिलेशनशिप में, एंड हाउ दैट जो गांठ होती है वो बढ़ती रहती है, और जब वो बढ़ती रहती है तो और बहुत सारे लोगों का वो रिलेशनशिप ख़राब हो सकता है, वो ईगो आ सकता है, वो बात ना करे एक दूसरे से, many things can happen, बहुत सारी चीज़ें हो सकती है. In the same manner that it has been addressed in the same manner that when the father says that the son, he quotes son, and when he says that he's angry, doesn't understand himself or him in any manner. So it is also the clash of egos, the clash of egos of two people who are family, who are not ready to listen to each other, and who has widened this gap because of their own issues. So, and the father mentions it so that he also feels that there is this fact, he actually accepts that he has also been a part of this entire process, where he has also let his son grow apart, and also he's making an effort that he can also mend it, he's ready to mend it if his son is on the other side doing the same. So these are the lines. So let's take the last few lines. We each put out an empty land, longing for something to forgive. So last 4 lines is like a gist where the poet, how the father actually talks about this is the land, we can actually forgive each other, we can mend the relationship. He is able to forgive and I am able to forgive. We can both mend the relationship and we can understand each other. We can stay as a family instead of being a stranger. So this is the poem written in the likeness of a parent. It's written in the parent's view of mind. So when we address the entire Hornbill this time, Hornbill's few poems, few chapters are exactly created out of nostalgia, a lament, a fact of memories. तो आपका जो जितने भी poems है, photograph, then childhood, आपके chapters, address, all these chapters, poems, they follow the same pattern, the pattern of lament, the theme of lamenting, the theme of memories, recollecting of memories. They're going back to something they have lost, especially something they have lost, something they want to reconnect to, something they want to bring back to, but there is no way to do it, no way to come back to that same space. So here Elizabeth Jenkins, when she is talking about, she is writing in a perspective of a father's perspective, and she is the poet. She is mentioning that fact that how the generation gap has been widening these days. And this is the question, this should be a first question of your NCERT, where it actually they ask you, आपसे वो पूछते हैं कि क्या ये जो generation gap है, या फिर क्या ये जो distancing of father and son है, या family ties broken है, is this just a personal bond or personal experience, or is it a universal fact? So this can be answered in both. Either you can also actually it's also written in a very personal zone, but it's also a major fact that everybody goes through. So in a manner, it's like a universal fact that every home today is facing, be it in this country or anywhere outside. That the importance of parents being lost, or the child has developed so much and developed in a manner, he has grown his unbiased mind, he has been rational in his thinking, so he will not agree to what his parents are saying. He has his own reasons, definitely, and so their own parents. So it is a fact that how parents approach certain things and how the kids do, and how the gap widens, because there is no communication then, because either of the people will not agree to their opinions. So this is the poem where we look at how lamenting over the relationship which are lost, lamenting over the memories which are gone, and how relationships get so easily tied down to a minimalistic zone, जो बहुत ही कम तरीके से अपने छोटी छोटी चीज़ें जो इतनी बड़ा इशू बन जाता है, और उस वजह से बहुत ज़्यादा गैप आ जाता है दो लोगों के बीच में, स्पेशली इन फैमिलीज़. हाँ, आज आप वाइडली देखोगे बहुत सारे लोग अपने घर से अलग रह रहे हैं, सेम सिटी में होके. लोगों के अपने रीजंस होते हैं डेफिनेटली, कि कोई लोग दूर काम कर रहे हैं तो रह रहे हैं, अदरवाइज पीपल आउट ऑफ चॉइस ऑल्सो लिव अलोन. So अगर वो अपने choice से भी रह रहे हैं तो definitely it is either they want their space, parents are not understanding the kids' needs, either the kids are not understanding what our parents trying to say. So it is that sort of a contemporary, एक modern world हमारे जो issues है अपने parents के साथ, it is trying to address the same manner. How the gap widens, how there is no approach from either of the side to mend the relationship. And it is a very hopeful poem also in a manner that here the father is actually trying to mend, actually trying to even find a little bit of source where he can make the relationship again as smooth as it was. Because it's the father and the child, it is the family bonds. If they are not smooth in their own manner, how we don't expect much from the other outer world apart from your family to be in your own connection or in your own zones of your friendship or your bonds. So it is also a fact that the father is trying his best. He's finding here and there ways. He's lamenting over the fact that how his son has changed. He was exactly as him, but the son has exactly changed. Now he has just changed and become something else. Has become strangers completely. So so let's talk about the rhyming scheme, how the rhyming scheme of the poem is there. So you will not find a fixed rhyming scheme, but the rhyming scheme is A, B, B, A, B. So the rhyming scheme, we see how the rhyming scheme is, the last words of the line will be rhyming to each other. So अगर पहला line और second line rhyme कर रहा है तो फिर वो A हो जाता है, और अगर आगे वैसे ही लाइन में सारे राइम कर रहे हैं तो वैसे एक सेम साउंड सेम उससे ख़त्म हो रहा है तो उस हिसाब से हम राइमिंग स्कीम देखते हैं. सो इन दिस पोएम द राइमिंग स्कीम इज़ योर A, B, B, A, B, A. So the first line that has the word which it is ending is with a different sound which is creating. That comes back in the fourth line. So the first is A and then the fourth line becomes A. The second and third line are exactly in the same rhyming scheme. They sound the same when it ends. So it becomes B, B. So that's how we see the rhyming scheme. So the few questions which we're looking at, so when you attempt the answers, so remember the theme of the poem, remember the tone of the poem, that it's sad, it's lamenting, it shows the helplessness of the father, it shows how the generation gap has widened. It's an emotional conflict within the father and the son, and either of them, they both are going through an emotional conflict within each other, within themselves and with each other, so that either of them is not understanding. So एक चीज़ वो हो गई when you attempt. Then you talk about how there is regret. His father today is regretting the fact that they have lost those strong connection that the person used to have, the father used to have with the son or with the child. So which is the common fact कि जैसा बचपन में relationship था अपने parents से, simple छोटी चीज़ों में साइकिल चलाना सीखना, birthday parties या कुछ भी छोटी चीज़ों में, अब वो नहीं है because बड़े हो गए, सब adults हो गए, सब अपनी life में busy हो गए, and neither of the person is in so much, इतना टाइम नहीं है कि आके बात भी करे, तो इस लेवल तक आ जाता है वो सारी चीज़ें. सो दैट loss of communication, it keeps on widening. It doesn't get shorter as since narrower in a manner that until and unless there is no effort from either of the sides making. So remember this entire concept when you say there is lamenting, there is a sad tone, there is helplessness of the father, and there is remember about the part of speech which is used in allusion, comparing prodigal son, his own son as prodigal son, referencing to the Bible, जहाँ Bible में Cain and Abel was exactly as God there because it was a prodigal son of the gods, exactly like him. This, and then also talk about the last line, silence around us. When it says that silence around us, then it means it is very clear the fact that there is no communication anymore. The fact when the examiner asks you to comment on the relationship between a father and a son, which is mentioned in the poem. Talk about all these things. Try to give your own perspective also, like how it has been widened these days, how communication is not there, how generation gap is widening, the entire rat race going around the world and nobody has time. So talk about all these things. Refer to the poem, read, remember the theme of the poem and then read the poem and try to understand it by line, as the poem is very easy, it's self-explanatory. आपको बहुत easily समझ आ सकता है poem क्योंकि उसके हर line में बहुत easy है lines. तो आप जब एक बार पढ़ोगे आपको पता चल जाएगा कि क्या पोएट क्या बोलने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं. आपको पता चल जाएगा कि एक फादर के पर्सपेक्टिव से है पोएम ये, और वो उसके जिस हिसाब से वो मेंशन कर रहा है स्ट्रेंजर्स, या फिर हम एक दूसरे को आज अंडरस्टैंड नहीं कर पा रहे, और इतने टाइम से हम घर पे रह रहे हैं पर हम जानते ही नहीं एक दूसरे को, हम लोग स्ट्रेंजर्स की तरह हो चुके हैं कि हम जो ये क्या ये वही चाइल्ड है, बार बार वो पूछ रहा है खुद से कि इज़ इट द सेम चाइल्ड, क्या वो वही बच्चा है जो मेरा ही ब्लड है, इज़ माई ओन सन, मेरा खून है, और आज मैं इसको देख के पहचान भी नहीं पा रहा, मैं जानता भी नहीं हूँ कौन है, वो भी नहीं, मतलब एक सोर्स ऑफ कम्युनिकेशन भी नहीं है उनके बीच में. सो थिंक अबाउट ऑल दीज पॉइंट्स एंड देन लिंक योर आंसर अकॉर्डिंगली, बिकॉज अगर अब आप आंसर करोगे इसके क्वेश्चंस, या तो ये क्वेश्चंस आ सकते हैं इन टर्म्स दैट आपको एक पैराग्राफ दे दिया, एक स्टैंजा दे दिया एंड उसके बेसिस में आपको क्वेश्चंस दे देंगे. और एंड ऑल्सो रिमेंबर कि आप जब भी इस पोएम या फिर किसी भी पोएम, कोई भी चैप्टर, स्पेशली स्नैपशॉट का हो या हॉर्नबिल का हो, अगर उसका अटेम्प्ट कर रहे हैं तो याद रखिए उसका पोएट का नाम और इस चैप्टर का नाम, या पोएम का नाम और इस पोएट का नाम, ऑथर का नाम, ये हमेशा याद रखिए. रिमेंबर दीज टू थिंग्स एंड व्हेन यू बिगिन, जब आप शुरू कर रहे हैं आंसर करना, व्हेन यू बिगिन mention the name of the poem and the poet. So when you are answering the question from this poem, so refer to the fact that this poem is written, father and son, it is written by Elizabeth Jennings, and this is how, frame the sentence accordingly and then attempt the answer of whatever it is asked. Remember about the themes, remember about the tone, remember about how the poem is filled with a lot of emotions, and from the father's perspective, because it's from the father's perspective. So remember this fact and talk about various things that you feel is also important apart from all of that. Otherwise it's a poem of regret, it's a poem of helplessness, of sadness, of old memories that has been haunting by his father, of how the child was and now he's not the same. So talk about all these things and then do it.